Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. My name is Darshit, and I lead the GTM at KITABOO. I want to start by telling you why I call this masterclass. Why are we here? So, last month, I was at a publishing conference and I sat across someone who had just lost a school contract. Not because their editorial team was doing bad or their content was not up to the par. The school had actually bought it a year before. In fact, they loved the content so much and signed up without any hesitation. But 6 months into the year, the technical issues became quite evident. The school's IT setup had changed and the rosters wasn't updating. Some students were invisible to the platform. And just to save time, the teachers shifted to a printed textbook. The publisher never heard about it until they went back to renew. And surprisingly, they never renewed. She told me verbatim that the book was the best in the market, but they failed miserably in delivering them digitally. So that meeting, that insight stayed with me because the more publishers I speak with, the more I realize it wasn't just her. Almost every publisher dealing with low adoption or any unexpected renewal had the same version of the same story. The product worked, but something between the product and the student didn't. And that gap is exactly what we are talking about today. And trust me, at the end of the webinar, I want you to leave knowing exactly what that gap looks like and how can you go about it in fixing it. So with that, let me just start with a poll. So Liz, if you can start the first poll. Yeah, it's a very simple poll. I want to understand, where are you in your digital distribution journey? What is your current setup looking like? And while the answers coming in, I can see a lot of people are joining in from across the Europe, across US, oh, even Asia, so to say. So the masterclass is designed for you all, regardless of where you're from. And the problems that we're going to talk about is irrespective of the market. And I can see that a good percentage of them are in the evaluation stage. That's good. That's good. With that, let me let me share my screen, and Liz, we can end the poll now. Perfect. Now you heard the story. Now let me show you exactly what the real life situation looks like. Your ebook works perfectly until a real student actually uses it. Now, the next part is where you'll find very familiar. The left side of the screen will show you exactly what your internal teams will tell you. Your QA did the testing on every device of that they did the testing on, and it worked perfectly. But if you look at it on the right hand side, this is the actual reality of the situation. The teachers who could not log in, could not access, they just simply shifted to print. And the renewal decision was already taken before the publisher even stepped into the room. Now, if you had to put a number to that gap, it comes to somewhere around 1,300 hours of lost teaching time. And if you put that number into perspective, 1,300 hours is somewhere around 200 days of school day lost. The lesson was planned. When the first page costed them a fifth of a school year. And to put it into more perspective, if about 33% of the teacher will simply just skip using a digital textbook if it fails more than twice. They do not talk about it, they do not file any report, they do not tell the vendor, they just simply go away. So, where does the chain break? Where exactly is the issue that you as a publisher can solve, right? See, in a school setting, there are several mechanisms that come into play, right? The first is that when a student actually uses it, they load up on a really old Chromebook, which is usually what is used in all the schools, majority of them. Each of them have a step. And each step, if they don't sync properly, even if one step doesn't work, the entire system goes for a toss. And at the end of the day, you are the one who are losing the deals because of that. None of this is your content failure. Every single one of them decides whether a student gets your content or not. And publishers spend years making their book better, but they don't spend much time making the chain more reliable. Now, before I introduce Doug, and I'm sure every one of you is excited to hear from him, I want to ask you one more question. And with that, can we launch the poll, the second poll, Liz? It's a simple question which tells me what is your biggest challenge when you are delivering your content into school? Is it a compliance or accessibility requirement? Is it technical setup takes too long? We don't know actually what is being used. Student can access it reliably. And this is something that is quite important, quite evident across all the markets. And I can see that a lot of them are talking about compliance and accessibility requirement. And most of them are also saying that all of the above, honestly, everything is a problem for them. Great. While that's running, I want to take a moment and introduce Doug. Doug has spent about 40 years at the intersection of publishing and educational technology. He's been a chief product officer at multiple K-12 publishers and has built and launched hundreds of digital instructional products across publishers, be it big or small, in markets across the world. What this means for you today is that when Doug speaks, he's not describing a problem from the outside. He's describing something that has lived from the inside multiple times across multiple decades. The poll results you're seeing right now is something that won't surprise him because he's looked at it in the boardrooms, he's looked at it in the meetings. More importantly, he's taken decisions from that. Before further ado, let me take Doug. I'll hand the screen over to you.
Okay, and why don't you leave this on for a second? So first off, I will say my primary experience is in the U.S., though I have, as Darshit said, some experience at one of my companies, especially Pearson, with international. But I'm going to speak primarily from a U.S. point of view, understanding that I think that a lot of those challenges are shared elsewhere. So number one, I have been doing this a long, long time. I actually launched my first digital forward product back in 1995. And at that point, we were talking about CD-ROMs and laser discs and things. I don't know, some of you probably just aren't even familiar with at this point. Um, and the interesting thing at that time, for the first, I don't know, maybe 10 years or so, we were launching digital products, was as a big publisher, and I was at Pearson at the time, we actually didn't necessarily want school districts to use the technology a lot. The technology was a vehicle to sell the print. And so as long as we got the sale, that was the important thing. And there was less concern about usage. That's changed a lot. And as we, flash forward to today, and we look at things like subscription pricing models, we look at things like school districts that purchase, school by school, and where performance of the product really is essential to driving growth and driving sales. So a lot has changed during that time, and the digital portion of it is absolutely essential. Darshit, go to the next slide, and I'll let it fill in here. So it's a little bit of a jarring, headline here, but I will say it's pretty accurate. So number one, I don't know, if how many of you have seen this, but the U.S. has been struggling in education for decades, and there's an education scorecard that comes out, and there was the most recent scorecard in terms of U.S. performance showed that student performance is actually worse now than it was 10 years ago. And it is um, uh, zero point 0.6 grades, students are performing zero point 0.6 grades lower in reading on average than they were 10 years ago. That was, I think, 2025 to back to 2015, and 0.4 years in math. So if you just think about that, that means basically kids are a half year behind in the US where they were 10 years ago. And that's a big deal. That's not good. Um, so what typically happens, on one hand, the educational community looks for solutions. On the other hand, they look for where to assign blame. And so one of the things that is happening a lot in the marketplace right now is there is you know, school districts and school leaders are looking at data that shows, among other things, that the amount of time students, the amount of screen time students spend, and the amount of social media usage, the amount of time they spend on social media actually has an inverse impact on, is inversely. I'm trying to think about how to say this. Their performance goes down based on the more screen time they have and the more social media they use. Now, there's an important detail in there that's the what they use, whether they're using recreational media or other things, versus really well developed educational media. But that is, or digital products, but that is often not really factored in. In addition to that, during COVID, kids went to school in the U.S. primarily at home during the period when we were essentially, I don't want to say lockdown or whatever, but going through COVID for a year plus. Students went to school virtually, and school districts didn't do a very good job of this. And so, for teachers and other educators, and even parents and many parents and students, the whole idea of going to school digitally became associated with really a negative experience. And so, both with the performance issues, the challenges around screen time, and so forth, have resulted in really what at one point earlier in my career, there was this steady growth of educational technology. There's been a backlash against it and a movement to, let's go back to print books, let's go back to hands-on, let's go, use manipulatives. You have states, Utah and Iowa, limiting amount of screen time. You have Los Angeles Unified School District that has recently introduced policies to limit the amount of screen time that students spend, and that is spreading, across the country. And so more than ever, educational technology needs to prove its worth. So back to the point Darshit was mentioning, if things aren't working, that's great for all the naysayers, because then that just validates the concerns they already have. All right, so let's go to the next slide. Okay, so Darshit referred to something that is sort of key in this, and this started, even before COVID and before an influx of funding in the U.S. called ESSER funding that came out of COVID. There was just like a massive influx for school districts, but districts had already started to purchase lots and lots of low-end hardware, or typically Chromebooks, and in some cases other devices, touch devices. And the common denominator is that it tended to be inexpensive and low end. And there are a lot of implications to that. And having, from my experience, again working at ed tech companies, what we'd find in some cases, big school districts with devices from companies I'd never even heard of, and really low performing devices. Now, the other thing is that the school districts often did not account for maintenance of those devices and the idea that once you just buy a device, it doesn't work forever. So now you have tons of devices that are, 3, 5, 7 years old that don't work very well. And the districts really haven't accounted for how they're going to maintain and replace those devices. And now all of that ESSER funding has dried up. So they don't have the funding to support that. Um, and again, as Darshit alluded to at the beginning, using ed tech products on old low-end devices results in performance issues, freezes, load time issues. It results in also challenges in terms of screen size. The screen real estate tends to be smaller, results in a lot of scrolling that make it hard to use and reduces instructional time. Again, and a key piece there, I will just say, for publishers and developers is the importance of testing on all the different types of devices and making sure that the technology works on lower end devices. The other big development during coming out of the ESSER funding was a massive influx of purchases of learning management systems in the US, and I know this is a global phenomenon as well. In the US, it's like Canvas and Schoology and Google Classroom and other things like that that are used extensively. Those systems have been implemented without a lot of teacher training, not typically without a lot of support. And the other piece of this is what this requires is interoperability so that whatever ed tech solutions the district is implementing work seamlessly with their learning management system, their student information system, and other important platforms that they implement in the district. When this doesn't work, among other things, in the US, there is high turnover typically in large school districts, meaning students move in and out of classes, move in and out of schools. And what happens if things are not effectively implemented is that there are rostering issues and students come to class and they're not in the system and they're unable to learn. They're not, and that is a huge issue and a huge problem. Another thing that happens is data loss with their performance data and things like that. So again, tying back to what Darshit laid out, with all this influx in ESSER funding and the implementation of learning management systems, it creates potential challenges. Okay, let's go on to the next slide. Okay, so the other thing in parallel, this is sort of ironic, I guess, given what I had said about COVID previously, is while, a lot of families did not like the experience during COVID, actually, the COVID has led in the US to a surge in full-time virtual learning. So that's kids who go to school at home and learn virtually using technology, all of their learning using technology. And that can be with a virtual school company like Stride, which was one of my former companies, which runs virtual schools throughout the US. Or it can be through school district programs that have grown 9x, where districts have their own virtual programs where students go at home. There are a lot of benefits to that for families to have more flexibility and so forth. However, most families, while most families at this point do have home internet, the majority in the US still don't have high-speed service. And as you can see from the image here, they typically have a lot of family members on different devices, TVs, other things which strain the system and create problems so that they don't all perform well. And I even know this, if you run a television, for example, over, through streaming, you get that buffering period and things like that, things that are just very annoying, and it can be a tremendous detriment for students learning at home. Um, And what that results in is the need for solutions that can work offline, where students don't need to be connected to the internet, where there are app versions or other offline versions that the students can work on offline, then reconnect with the internet and have their data shared, their data synced once they reconnect. And as a matter of fact, there's even in California, they even at a state level mandate that all digital solutions have an offline component, that they don't assume home internet. Okay, and moving on to the last slide that I have before turning it over to Pavan for the highlight of this actually is that, oh, I know I have two slides. I apologize. But so no, this is my last slide. So you know, despite all the backlash about technology in the U.S., it serves tremendous needs that textbooks can't serve. And so one is accessibility. Students who have issues, you know, with their sight or other special needs, being able to address those students, providing accessibility accommodations. Even students who are struggling readers, being able to provide audio support to help those students by hearing what they're reading at the same time, or for the youngest students, for students in kindergarten and first grade, being able to have audio support to help them as they're learning to read. Or for students in the US, that we have large numbers, we have millions of students who are non-native speakers, who have other first languages that are spoken at home, to be able to provide translation support for those students and to help them actually understand the content that they can't just from trying to read the book because of the language barrier. The ability to provide personalized instruction and provide use intentional embedded AI tools. Really, the ability, you know, every student learns differently, and technology, digital solutions can accommodate that in ways that books can't. You know, provide different types of scaffolding support and so forth for students who need it, um, or on the opposite side, to provide challenges and enrichment for students who are ready for that, and to be able to really meaningfully leverage AI to provide just the type of support students need at the moment they need it. And then last but certainly not least, the ability of digital solutions to provide a wealth of data to teachers, district administrators, and parents to help inform learning and to drive success. And so with that, I will turn it to Pavan, or back to Darshit
Then,
and to Pavan.
yes. Thank you, Doug. That was genuinely insightful. I have a question, and I'm asking this question on behalf of the audience we have here. So, if a publisher in this masterclass has lost a contract or have lost a contract before, what would your advice be to them? What should they do? What should they look for?
With that particular customer, or to
With
or
that particular customer, and how they can use that insight so they don't
well,
lose it
let me
again.
say two parts to it. Actually, I'm going to answer the question in two parts, given what you said. So one, um, look, I would say just one benefit of digital solutions is access to data and usage data. And I would say, first off, before you lose the customer, track the data and see what the usage is like and understand what's happening, and make that contact and interact with the customer ahead of time. Because that's one of the incredible things about technology, is you can actually see the usage versus, you know, books that may be sitting on a shelf and you don't know, right? So try to get out ahead of it. And number two, frankly, you know, if it comes to a point where they do move away, have conversations about it. You know, try to see if you can understand what the what the challenges they had were, and what, if anything, you can do to solve those moving forward, and what you can do potentially to remedy, to offer something back, frankly, in terms of some accommodation that will help make them, inclined to stick with you. And then learn it. It's this whole process should be continuous learning. And so that is, try to learn from the challenges and apply those learnings going forward. And then back to just use the data, use the data. That will help guide you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Doug. Ladies and gentlemen, what you've heard so far is the decades and decades of experience speaking. You saw the failures, you saw the success, and all that culminated into what you've listened to so far. Now, the question is, what does it look like when things actually work? What does it look like when the chain actually holds for when it should hold? And what does it look like when a student actually opens their device and gets to the first page without anything breaking? Without further ado, Pawan is going to show you that exactly. Pawan, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Darshit. Thank you so much, Doug, for giving an insightful presentation on the industry. So, I would like to start with a small information which I would like to provide. So, I basically work on the customer front. I have experience more than 9 years of experience in the digital publishing industry. So I've been selling KITABOO since a long time. So earlier we used to get prospects who start their discussion with a use case that we are looking to go digital. That was like 3 4 years ago. But since last 2 years, we have been listening that the current platform that we have, which we built with our own capacity or maybe with the player that we are working with, it's not working well with us or it's not working out. So like going back to what Doug said, like earlier there were a lot of funds which were going in to have a digital infrastructure. Now the thing is those funds are getting dried up, and the main issue is the publisher will assuming that they will be getting a lot of readers, but maybe after 5 to 6 years, the number of readers gets stagnant because everyone wants to go digital. But the cost will increase. Like everyone will agree to me that the change is the only constant. So in this digital publishing industry, there has been lots of changes which starts from WCAG, like the accessibility, then AI comes into the picture because everyone wants to provide an AI experience, and for the US publishers, state adoption is a thing as well now. So there are a lot of factors which affect digital publishing industry. So sometimes it might be a question about whether to build or to buy. So we are just here to provide an option how KITABOO can help you. So without further ado, I'll be sharing my screen and taking this forward. Okay. I hope my screen is visible.
It is.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to start with a small presentation on what KITABOO is, what we do, with whom we work with, and where our customers are. So KITABOO is basically a digital platform which provides an infrastructure to the publisher to distribute their ebooks or digital assets to the end users, whether it could be a school, a parent, like if they're doing homeschooling, or if there is a subscription model. We assist all those business model and we assist publisher to distribute the content. So the onus of distributing the content will be on KITABOO, not on you. So we also got a data that about 85% of this US districts currently use LMS. 83% of K-12 teachers rely on LMS for the teaching. And as you saw in the earlier slides, 1,300 hours a year, that's a big number that are wasted because of the issues that they face with the LMS and the integration. So out of those 85 or above percent of the LMS, 56% of the LMS face an integration challenge. And most of the IT team, like if someone is here, they can confirm it. 20% of their time is going in those in resolving those integration challenges. So why not like have a platform which can support you with from inception to the implementation. So KITABOO, when it comes to the volume, KITABOO hosts more than 1.5 million books. More than 35 million API calls every day are done through KITABOO, and we have about a user base of 6 million active users, and we guarantee a 99.97% of uptime. So whatever time it is, whatever day it is, whenever a user will log in into the LMS and if they want to access a book, it will surely open. So that's the guarantee that we provide. And when it comes to the accessibility, we follow WCAG 2.2 AA compliance as well. So KITABOO is not just a platform, we provide a full service approach. Whether you want to build your own platform, if you want to do custom development, you need some support services or some onboarding assistance while you are selling your content with the schools or district, let us take care of the integration and the onboarding of your digital assets to the LMS, how they will how will they be distributed. Let us take care of it. So we basically create a partnership kind of a solution for you, where our approach is a partnership approach, and we make sure that you do not have an headache when it comes to the digital distribution. So with KITABOO, you will get a full white label a scalable deployment. So you will have a web-based reader, fully white label. So that means like with your own branding, KITABOO name will not be visible anywhere. There will be an iOS app and Android app, because we, as far as we understand, when it comes to the K-12 industry, or the biggest consumer of the iPads are kids, because they study from the tablets and smartphones. So we will provide you iOS and Android application through which they can log in through their tablets and smartphone and access the digital library. KITABOO provides a deep system integration. So that doesn't mean just the LMS integration. More than LMS, like we also transfer the data. You will understand how your content is being perceived by the end users. If you are selling your content with your e-commerce from your website, KITABOO can integrate with it. With your CRM, you can create a Power BI dashboard. So you will have all those data available through the advanced analytics and reporting. KITABOO offers a multi-modal content. So it's not just if you have one type of content which will be supported by KITABOO. If it is a PDF, reflowable EPUBs, COM package, video book, audio book, you can upload it on KITABOO with just one click. You do not need to convert your content. As I mentioned, multi-device learning with smartphones, tablets, desktop, laptops. You will also be able to enrich your content. If you have a PDF, but if you want to make it more interactive by adding some quiz, interactivities like videos, images, glossaries, you can create it on KITABOO platform from the admin tool, and then you will be able to make your content more interactive. And we also provide a robust user management. So that means like every kind of user will have their own kind login. So if it's a teacher will be able to see how their classroom is performing. The students account will be there. They will be able to share notes between teachers, students. So there will be a digital classroom kind of an environment where students and teachers can share notes even when they are not present in the classroom. When it comes to our customers, we have more than 120 customers across the world with industry experience of more than 25 years now. And these are some marquee customers that we work with across the world. And when it comes to integration, we support each like all the major LMS integration, whether it's Canvas, Schoology, Google Classroom, using different processes like 1.1, 1.3 LTI, SAML, one rostering, We've Shibboleth, Open Athens, Auth O processes. So we follow all of that, and along with that, when it comes to the security and compliances, we make sure that your content is safe. We provide a DRMs. It's a DRM solution, so your content will be safe. We comply with the ISO 27001, SOC2, GDPR, M compliances, FERPA, COPPA, and for the accessibility, WCAG 2.2 AA compliance as well. And KITABOO is not just one platform. We provide other solution as well. Like KITABOO authoring tool is something which can be helpful to you if you want to create your content from the scratch. So if you're using InDesign, but if you want one platform where you can build your content and distribute it, you will have that option available. If you need AI interactivities where student can self-learn themselves, or if you want to create quizzes, or if you want teachers to create quizzes based on your textbooks, you will have that options available using AI. So with one click, lot of assessments can be created. And if you want to convert your content, like whether if you are currently providing PDFs, but if you want to go accessible, and as everyone knows that converting the content from PDF to reflowable EPUBs, accessible EPUBs is a big effort, which will take human efforts plus cost as well. So we have come up with Fluid 360, which will convert the content using AI with human in the loop. So it will cut a lot of your cost and time. And then the reader that we have. So in reader, you will have the bookshelf. Bookshelf will come up with a lot of different features. Then you will have the reader features as well. So we will have read aloud functions and all of other features like cloud-based instancing. So if a user is creating a note in their smartphone, and once they log out, and if once they log into their desktop accounts, they will be able to see that those notes. They will be able to access the content offline as well. And you will have the studio account for the publisher, from which you will control your content. You will be able to upload the content, enrich your content, and for the integration and for the distribution of the content, like you will have the school and district setup using multi-platform and LMS integration. You will be able to integrate with those different, will be dashboards and analytics reports available as well. So yeah, that's it on the presentation. Now, as Darshit mentioned, like the important part is when the platform is implemented, whether the book can be opened or no. So we have created a sandbox environment in the Moodle LMS basically. So I'm going to log in and going to access a book from the LMS, and you will see better bandwidth. Yep. So once I'm logged in, I will be able to see everything. Now, to open a book, you will have different options as well. We support iframe as well. So if you want the users to open the book into the LMS itself, you can do it, or you can just click on KITABOO LTI demo tool. Once I do it, the reader and the bookshelf will be open, and I do not need to log in again since we support single sign-on. So through that, I will be able to see the bookshelf, whatever books which are assigned to me, and I'll just take you through a couple of books. But before that, like this is how the bookshelf will look like. So you can search the content via keywords. So if I'll write English here, so whatever books which has keywords English in it will be visible here. I will be able to jump to those books right now directly from here. Titles, I'll be able to search titles, authors, ISBN codes. You can download the book for the offline access. You will be able to see the recently viewed book, favorites, and if you have a huge pile of content and books, you can categorize them. So it will be easier for the user to find it. There will be dark mode, light mode. So without further ado, I'll just open a book. Once I click on yes, I will be moved to the last page which I visited. I can have single page view, double page view. When it comes to the table, interacting with the book, you will have a panel on the left hand side through which you will be able to see the table of content, and which will be very interactive as well. So if you want to jump to like what is the skull uh, page, then I can directly just click it on the table of content, and I will be redirected or navigated to that particular page. As a user, if you want to bookmark any page, you will be able to bookmark those pages, add a title, and those bookmarks will be visible here in the bookmarks. As a publisher, if you have added some resources, the users will be able to see those resources in the resources section. So if I want to directly see the video which you have added in the book, then I will be navigated to that particular page, and this is how the video will play in the book.
The types of bones. There are 4 major classifications or types of bones based on their shapes: long bones, short bones.
So that is there. You will be able to search in the book as well. So if I'll write bone, so wherever bone is written in the book will be visible here. I can navigate myself to that particular page from here. You will be able to use pen tool. So if you want to underline something, draw something using stylus, that is available. There will be a classroom and sort of an environment. So if a user wants to create a note, or if they have a question for the students, or if a teacher wants to share a note to the students, they will be able to do that. You can save those notes as well, and whatever data you create will be visible here in my data section. So the note I created, so that is here. Plus, you can also create the highlights as well. So like if I want to highlight one particular paragraph, color code it, and even add a note to it, I will be able to do that. And there are a lot of different possibilities. So we provide a platform which might be a 65 to 70% match to your current requirement. But if you want to have a better platform, you can let us know what are your requirements. We will be able to do those customization. KITABOO invest about out of 100% of our employees, 40% of employees currently work on research and development of the product. So we are continuously upgrading our platform. Currently, we are in the 6th version. 7th version is going to launch soon in the last 14 years of KITABOO. So those kind of notes and highlights you can create. You can also listen to the book.
The skeleton. In this section, you will learn about 1. Why your skeleton is.
You can change the highlight as well. You will also have option to change the accents. If you want to pick a male voice, female voice, those options will be there as well. And this function is very helpful to students who are going through the reading problem, for example dyslexic kids, and they do have those issues. So KITABOO provides a solution where they can listen to the book with the highlighting, word to word highlighting, sentence to sentence highlighting, which will make sure that they do better or they grasp the reading abilities, and we are just doing our best to help them. So those kind of features are there. Then you will have fit to width view, fit to length view, single page view, double page view. For the navigation, there will be chapter to chapter navigation, page to page navigation. And if users are unsure what page to land on, they will be able to see the thumbnail view through which they can land on the right page. Yeah. So this is a quiz that we have created. So you can create such quiz like gradable quiz, non-gradable quiz. Sorry, I think I'm going through some issues with my bandwidth, but yeah. So you can have lot of different kind of questions, like multiple choice questions, drag and drop kind of questions, fill in the blanks, image labeling questions, matchmaking questions. You will have a lot of different options available. And once the user submits the test, if in case of a gradable quiz, the teacher will be able to see what answers they submitted, and they can, if they want to annotate such answers, they will be able to do that. And KITABOO is not just limited to one type of reader. Actually, we have developed two readers. When it comes to the K-12 industry, we saw that there is a gap in the reading experience, and the young kids like a bit more interactive reader. So for them, we have come up with kids reader as well, which works on the same technology which is used in KITABOO Player, the original reader. But Kids Player will be a bit more interactive, a bit more user friendly, considering the usage pattern of the kids as well. So I'm just going to open this book. So yeah, once I open, I will be directly redirected to the last page, which I use. If I want to go to the beginning, I can click on yes, or I'll just click on no thanks. I can have like a full screen. I can listen to the book as well. I can have single page view, fit to width view, where I can scroll in. Like I can read aloud as well. And you will have different options as well, like flip play or play by page as well. So you can select one.
Everything is in boxes today. My old room feels very quiet and empty.
Then you will have different resources available. If they are added to the book, they will be visible here. Search option, thumbnail view, note taking abilities, pen tool. So all of those features will stay as well. So yeah, that's all about KITABOO and the product that we have developed. So yeah, if you have any questions, we will be happy to answer them. So over to you, Darshit.
Thank you, Pawan. Thank you for the detailed demo that really gave us the insights. Now, before we jump to the question and answer, I just want to point out that I shared a couple of links in the chat. You can access any of the links however you'd like it. Whatever is there in the link is mentioned. So you can go with that. And with that, I'd like to open the Q&A round. Ask questions, whatever you have, and we'll be happy to answer them for you. You can access the Q&A section and post your answers, questions there, and we'll pick it up from there. Or you can use the chat window, whatever suits you. So, yeah. Okay, so I am seeing one questions. So when you're evaluating a digital product from the publisher's side, what's the first operational questions you ask before anything else? Doug, if you'd want to answer that.
Can you say the question again?
So when you're evaluating if a digital product that you're selling from the publisher side, as a publisher, if you're evaluating a digital product that you want to sell to the schools, what's the first operational questions that you will ask so that the product actually works?
Okay. Well, I guess that's what the word evaluating threw me a little bit, because I think it's what's the first thing you really need to understand are the customer needs. And that's what, understanding the technology landscape and the marketplace, understanding in in different subject areas there are different uses of digital capabilities that support each subject area. So Pavan was showing, for example, science, where you can do a lot with obviously different diagrams and different types of science simulations and things like that. If you are in reading language arts, you want to have supports built in to help students read. So it's like audio support and other things again that were shown. So it's really understanding the marketplace and the customer needs and the specific needs of the subject area you're building for, to make sure you come up with a product that really meets those needs. And then I would say then have lots of dialogue with customers as you go forward in building it, and in further developing the product once it is launched.
Perfect. So there's a question from Gwen. Thank you for the presentation. Is there a translation tool to convert English language material to local language? And that's a very important question for the Europe market, I assume. So Pawan, if you can answer that.
Is there a translation tool to convert English language material to local language? So there are few tools. We also use APIs as well, different APIs which we can use, through which you can convert your content into different languages. But this is also a place where services team can come into the picture. So maybe when we can get into a discussion, we understand what languages that you want to convert, like from English to what language you want to convert, and then we can work out something. But definitely we have a team who can assist you with it. Then KITABOO platform will come into the picture.
Perfect. I have another question as well. So how does KITABOO support students who access content both in school and at home?
Yeah. So if they are in school, they can log in through their LMS. They can do the same when they're at home, but we also provide iOS and Android app as well, through which they can log in through their personal devices and access the content. So even if they are home, they can use the apps, and when they are at the school, they can access through the LMS.
Well, and the thing I would just add to what you said, Pavan, is those two interact, right? So, and that's if you go back when I was talking about the home access challenges, that the apps actually then whatever work, if students are doing highlighting or other things on that app version, then that data, when they sync up with the internet, that's then that data is retained. So
Yes,
that interoperation between the two is very important.
of course. You're welcome, Gwen. He mentioned thank you, so I have to repeat.
So another question, and this is a practical one. If a student downloads 10 books for offline usage, how much storage does this typically take on a device? Is that a practical concern for school with older hardware? So Pawan, if you can answer that.
Can you repeat that? I'm not able to find
So the question is, if a student downloads 10 books offline, how much storage does that typically take on a device? And is that a practical concern for school with older hardware?
Oh, so that's a concern of the user and the publisher. Like that totally depends on the size of the book that publisher uploaded, and it cannot be a certain size. As a platform, KITABOO, we can support you with the biggest book that you have in library. Like we support book which are 2 GB or 4 GB in size. So it totally depends on the tablet or the device that a user is using, whether they have the capability to download it, and what kind of size the publisher has, like with their books.
Great. So there's another question. How does KITABOO help publishers identify access issues before schools report them?
Publisher identify access issues. If you are going to use KITABOO, you will not have the publisher like the access issues. I'll tell you why. Because we have a stringent process into the play where our customer success team will be in constant touch with the publishers. We will be taking during the implementation phase. We will have all the information available. So and once an integration is successfully done, they will never face an issue. We will make sure of that. So that's why KITABOO comes into the picture. and that's where we take money.
Well put. I'm seeing another question. So, can a student who was removed from the class roster in the middle of the year, can they still access the content if they had downloaded it offline?
No. The straightforward answer is no. Once they are taken off from the chart, that's done. Then only the school admin will, once the school admin recreates their account, or maybe reactivate their account, then only they will be able to access the content.
Another question: how difficult is LMS integration during district deployment? That's a very important one.
Yeah, not very difficult. Basically, we have a team of specialized people who have been doing this in and out since last 5-7 years or 10 years, and we also provide onboarding assistance as well at site. So sometimes, as a publisher, you just give us the detail, and our onboarding, like on-site team, will take care of the whole onboarding situation. And sometimes, like if it is LTI 1.1 or 1.3, I have seen it live. It will not take more than 20 minutes to do the integration. Secret keys will be created, and on the call itself, they will be added to the LMS, and the integration is created.
Perfect. I think those are the questions for the day. I've just shared a couple of links. If anyone wants to get in touch with us, they can use that link and schedule a one-on-one directly. And with that, I would like to say thank you, everyone, for joining the masterclass. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Pawan, for doing a very thorough explanation to the audience. Thank you so much.